Afternoon all. Can everybody hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, great. So these Monday sessions 6 to 7 will be a combined tutorial for both my session and Master Lorima's session. So this week's tutorial, we are looking at isometric drawings as well as auxiliary views. Now, before we start, can we get a volunteer, anyone from either session, to create a separate Viber chat for tutorial session 6 to 7? Okay, can everybody just write their numbers in the chat? And then whoever volunteers will create the Viber group. That way, myself and Joshua can have direct contact to you guys. And it'll be a lot easier for us to answer your questions if you have any questions, especially about the project or the feedback that you guys are going to be receiving. So can I have a volunteer? So if everybody can just type their number in the chat. Because for this week's tutorial, we will ask you guys to draw the isometric views for these tutorials. So the question 1 and part 2, take a picture and then post it to that Viber forum. That way you'll get your attendance. Is that clear to everyone? So only by drawing the isometric views for part A and part B, and then posting it to the, taking a picture and then posting it to the Viber discussion forum, will you be given attendance for this week? Okay, who's creating the group right now? Any volunteers? Any volunteers to create the Viber group? If not, I'll ask my colleague, Master Lorima, just to create a Viber group for all of us. Okay, there is one group for my session, is there? Maybe you could add everybody else to that session, to that Viber group. Pravit, is that possible? Okay, thank you very much, Ravid. Okay, so this week we are given two views, two multi-views. You might be able to tell from the drawing that this is a third angle orthographic projection, a side view, front view, and a plan view. We're given all the dimensions in millimeters, and we are asked to do the isometric view for the standard multi-view. Okay, this is very similar to all the isometric drawings that we've done in all of our tutorials. I think the past 4 weeks we've been doing isometric views. So there shouldn't be anything new to anybody. There should be no problems here. The second drawing, all dimensions are given in inches. Again, it's a third angle orthographic projection. So our tutorial this week, we are looking at both isometric and auxiliary views. So the second part to our question is given here. So I want to ask all of you the purpose of drawing auxiliary views. Does anybody know the purpose for auxiliary views? If you have an understanding or an idea, please unmute your mic and share it with the class. What is the purpose of auxiliary views? So it's a form of detailed drawing, okay? And when we do technical drawing, or when we're drawing isometric oblique using our multi-views, we are taught that there are 6 primary views, 6 principal views. You have the 2 sides, top, bottom, and then the front and the back. So we have 6 views. Okay, auxiliary views are for sections of the drawing that can't be clearly shown in either one of those 6 views. Okay, when I say can't be shown, I mean you won't be able to see the true shape. So auxiliary view is a separate plane that is that projects the inclined surface to make it parallel to the picture plane. Thank you, Praveet. Yes, to show the true shape of the side, which is not parallel to the projection plane. Yes, that is the primary function of the auxiliary views. Okay, so in this question here, we are given a standard block, and it has a cut taken out on one of the corners, and we have to draw the auxiliary view of this shape. Now, some of you may notice straight away that doing a single auxiliary view will not clearly define the true shape. We have to use something called a secondary auxiliary view, which essentially means we rotate the view 1 degree so that it's going perpendicular into the page, and then 1 more rotation so that it's parallel to the viewing plane or the picture plane. Okay, I will share a video resource with you guys so that which clearly explains how to do these types of questions.
An object has a face which is not perpendicular to any. You need to see the true shape of that face. But this is a difficult concept, so we're going to have to take this through slowly. First of all, we need to construct a view where that face is going into the picture plane. We've done this here with this, what they call a primary auxiliary view. I prefer to call it an intermediate view because it has no relationship to the primary views that we were discussing before. We've got the front elevation shown there, the top view shown there, and to construct the primary auxiliary view, we can either construct following that edge BF, or we could do it following the edge BA. We'll look at that one later. This edge BF, if we just rotate through that line there, we end up with a view looking like that, with that face there going straight into the page. Okay, if I can bring this over here to show how the object looks. Okay, the other thing to note is that to construct that view, we've taken lines that are parallel with this line BF. So we've taken these construction lines up. The distances we stepped off relate to this reference plane XY. If you notice that when we've got that in that position, that is the base of the object. And here, when I had it in that position, that is the base of the object as well. So the distances we step off from the reference plane XY, we step along, we divide these, use dividers to get these distances from the plane X bar, Y bar. Right, the next stage is to rotate from that view, right, to rotate the object round 390 degrees, so this face now becomes parallel with the picture plane. Okay, I've got the object there. Now, to do that, we've drawn these lines that are perpendicular to the line BF. We've brought those down. We've drawn a reference plane in WV, which is perpendicular to the line BF that we projected this view from. We then, using dividers, we step off these distances from this reference plane W bar V bar, which is perpendicular to these projection lines. Now, to justify this, another way of seeing that face coming to true view is to rotate, purely to rotate around that line there to bring it into view. And so we've got the plan view there, we rotate that round, we have effectively, we have effectively the same view as we've got there, except that this is in a different position on the page. So these distances have stayed the same because we've rotated about the line BF.
Okay, so that video clearly demonstrates how we do secondary auxiliary views. I will paste the URL for that video in the public chat. So again, for this week's tutorial attendance, you have to draw the isometric views for tutorial 8. So part A and part B, using appropriate scale, using appropriate dimensions, and using the appropriate tools. You have to draw the isometric views, take a picture, and then post it to the Viber discussion forum that we have for this tutorial session. So tutorial 6 to 7. Post it there and you'll be getting your attendance for this week. Are there any questions?
So on AutoCAD.
No, you don't have to do it in AutoCAD. You can do it pencil and paper. If you want to do it on AutoCAD and practice, that's fine, by all means. So the first drawing is all in millimeters. I mean, it's pretty obvious if you look at it because there's no other dimension that makes sense. You can't have 36 meters or 48 meters, 36 centimeters. Centimeters isn't in an SI unit as such. So we usually don't have dimensions given in centimeters. So millimeters for part 1. And for part 2, inches is the only dimension that makes sense. Okay, you can't have meters again because it's far too big. We can't have centimeters because 0.75 centimeters. You'd usually just put 75 millimeters or 75 millimeters instead, or 7.5 centimeters. So part B is given in inches, the dimensions, and part A is in millimeters. Now for the auxiliary views, we are expecting you guys to work on that. You can use the internet resources or the YouTube video that I've sent to the chat as a reference. We expect you guys to develop that, and then next week's tutorial, we will check that and that'll be part of your attendance for next week. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So last week, I believe your session was taken by Dr. Kabir. Am I right about he was taking the project feedback session?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so hopefully from that session alone, you managed to get a general idea of the type of standard that we're expecting from you guys, the level of work, and to those that were directly assessed in the session, you now know what you have to improve on or what you have to include. In general, all other groups, myself and Master Lurima, we are working through all the submissions, draft submissions. There are quite a few, so it's taking us a while, but we're aiming to try and get it all done by the latest tomorrow and then send it back to each of the group leaders. So the group leaders should be receiving their feedback as we assess them. If you have any questions about any of the feedback that we provide, you can let us know in the Viber chat, or you can contact us directly. So I will be handling the feedback for my session when it was face-to-face, which was in room 01019, and Master Lurima will be taking the feedback for your session in the room that was opposite Ozaid lecture theaters. Just a brief breakdown of how the rest of the semester is going to go. So we will carry on with our tutorials as normal up until week 13. And then week 13, we won't have a tutorial session. Rather, we will have a 2-hour-long session on week 14, in which you will have to present your final project to us. So as well as developing the project report in Word and formatting it all appropriately in Word, you also have to be developing a PowerPoint presentation along the way. That presentation is what you'll present to us in your tutorial session on week 14. And everybody from the session is expected to be present for that 2-hour session. So you'll present for 15 minutes, and then there will be a 5-minute question and answer section. From there, us, the markers, as well as maybe Dr. Kabir might join our session. We'll assess you guys, and that'll go towards your final project mark. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Like we said, all the way along, the work will start to pile up as we get closer and closer to the end of the semester. For most of you, I'm happy to say that you seem to be all on track up until the evaluation process. Some work needs to be still done, the evaluation process for most of you, but I hope you're still working on your detailed drawings right now, detailed drawings using AutoCAD, and working on some of the formatting, as well as addressing some of the comments that myself and Master Lorima have made for your projects. Okay, guys, if you want to find the tutorial questions, they are given in the announcement posted by Dr. Kabir on the Moodle page for MM101. So you guys can access it there and go directly to this tutorial questions so that you can do the isometric views. We will be expecting you guys to submit your isometric drawings by the end of the week, so by Friday. Whoever has submitted there will be getting attendance for the week. And if you fail to do so, then you'll be missing out on attendance for this week. Are there any questions from anybody regarding anything we've discussed today?
No, sir.
Does Master Lorima wish to say anything, to add on anything?
You have created the Viber group for you guys, and there's only one student left, which is Morgan. Can you please install the Viber app in your phone somewhere? Because I'm trying to add your number. It says that you haven't had a Viber, not that.
Okay, so for your calculation report, those kinds of questions will be directly handled by Dr. Kabir. Anything to do with assignment, he will be answering directly. But if you are unsure as to what is to go into a calculation report, I recommend that you go back and watch the lecture videos from week 6 before we had the lockdown. Dr. Kabir went over the concepts very clearly there. And there are actual examples of a calculation report given in his lecture slides. So either you look through the slides or you go back and watch the lecture recording on Moodle. Just a quick question. Does everybody in this session have a partner already for the assignment? Has everybody got a partner? Because if it comes to week 14 and there are certain people saying we weren't able to do the assignment because we don't have a group, that won't be a good enough excuse. Okay, Shahil. So Shahil Kumar, you don't have a group member yet. Is anybody else in this session without an assignment partner? Just to be clear, it doesn't have to be someone from your tutorial session. So it can be anybody from this 67 session, either myself or from just Master Lorima's session. Can we work in threes? The directive is specifically for pairs, so only 2 members in a group. If you want to work in threes, you have to ask Dr. Kabir directly, because he will be the one to give the final say. So is there anybody else in this session who doesn't have a group partner yet, or an assignment partner? And it doesn't have to be someone from your project group as well. It can be anybody taking the course MM101. Anybody in any tutorial session. Okay, Shahil, if you are unable to find anybody, I recommend that when you join Dr. Kabir's lecture times, you let him know there, because that way he'll be able to broadcast it to the whole course, everybody watching at the same time, and there might be someone there who doesn't have a group member as well. It'll be a lot easier for you to find a project partner that way. Is that okay with you, Shahil? Okay, great. Okay, guys. So is everybody clear as to how you're gonna get attendance this week? Again, just take a picture of your isometric view, draw it to scale, use the dimensions, take a picture, post it to the Viber chat that Master Lorima has made, and you'll be getting your attendance if you post it before Friday. Sir, do we do the drawing in that sheet? If you have access to a printer and you can print out this sheet, then by all means. But if you can't, just drawing it on a loose piece of paper using the proper tools, that's fine as well. So if you can print this out and draw it on the sheet, that's great. But if you can't, not to worry, just draw it on a loose piece of paper. Use your proper set squares and everything, your compasses, your dividers, all that. Use proper line weights, so light lines for construction, dark lines for the outline. You can show hidden lines in your isometric views. Make sure that you follow the orientation given by the third angle orthographic. So make sure you position your side view in the appropriate place, front view and plan. Yes, A4 paper is fine. Okay, if there are no more questions, thank you very much for attending this evening, and we'll see you again next week. Pinaka.